We're going to go down the old Marquette Trail, now called M119. Before that, it was the Dixie Highway when I was a kid. Well, the reason we're doing this is because over the years, it's changed a lot. And all the time I've been here, I've collected photographs and memories, and I've read history, and I found places that nobody knows about anymore or has forgotten. And I want everybody to be able to have access to what was once here because it's so interesting. This was the center of the Catholic religion for the whole Midwest at one point. And besides that, there's some splendid stories about the frontier days and all the folks that came through here. Well, we're off M119 now. We've gone up Stutzmanville Road to Friendship Cemetery because there's a very special person up here I want you all to see. Initially, when you come in, there's a surprise. There's ironwood placards or grave markers that go back almost 150 years. They are the Weimers who owned Weimer Pond over by Lake Michigan. But let's go look at this very special grave. It belongs to Ella Petoskey. Now, Ella, of course, was the granddaughter of Ignatius Petoskey, and she had 10 acres of allotment land that she inherited from her uncle over on 7 Mile on the Wasson Grade. And the reason I'm kind of fond of coming here is because as a little girl, when we had those big funny cars in the 40s, my mom would always stop to pick up Ella if she saw her walking into harbor. And I remember her. I wasn't in awe of her yet, but my mother was, and so when we picked her up, she'd say very little, but she was a presence. And then coming home, she never wanted you to know where she lived. So she'd say, you can let me out here. And now I know all about her. And I'm very glad I found her grave. She went to Carlisle School and she became a teacher. She was an award-winning teacher. And here she is. This is interesting. Mr. Michigan Outdoors. Morton F. is buried here. He used to just live down the hill from me. After he retired. Ours watched his show, didn't you? He made Michigan a place, a destination in many ways. He was the first of his kind with this kind of outdoorism. And he wasn't bad looking. Let's go on to Good Heart and down the road, which is now called Lambkin Road, but it was Ottomon Road then, and visit St. Ignatius and a very special tree. Let's go. So here is St. Ignatius Church. This is the third church on this site. The second church, in 1851, the Native Americans owned all the property of Middle Village, which is New Middle Village, Apitawaiting. And of course, there are many burials here. We can go right up this way. This is the oldest part of the cemetery right here. This is where they used to have ghost suppers, as recorded by Wes Andrews. First harvest came of the blueberries. They would share it with the deceased, and they would bring blueberries up there from the blueberry plains up in Cross Village. And in that burial lot there. There's an amazing amount of huckleberry bushes. Up by the church there used to be some Victorian cast iron beautiful crosses that were stolen, unfortunately. But there's still some great places. So beautifully quiet. Gosh, I remember this back when I was a girl, this little house. It's almost gone now. Almost gone. It used to be that Native Americans would make a house over a grave, a place for the deceased to come back to. And originally at this church, there were these little houses. And this is the only one that remained. And it was here when I was a girl. And it was the only one here, only one left. It's a beautiful place. A beautiful place. Up here a little ways, when I was walking this as a child, I noticed a very unusual and special tree. Right here. Wait a second. Yes, this is it. Look at this tree. Do you see it? It is very twisted. It is strange. If you can see this one limb, I think it's a marker tree. Now, that wouldn't be above Lampkin's thinking. He could have made a marker tree to indicate that the crooked tree was on the bluff here. I think it's a marker tree. How did the Native Americans use marker trees? Well, they took a sapling and they bent it over with a fork type piece of wood and used that to hold it in place, and then strapped it down to the ground with buckskin to hold it, and it would grow up and form curves. And they had these lots of places, usually to indicate where there was water or something special. So that is so unnatural that I thought, you know, it well could be the marker for where the old crooked tree stood.